time our politicians... Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
When you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
A very good morning to you and welcome to Global Morning today on Global Television. My name is Godwin Sunday. I guess we can call this the TGIF edition of the show. That is, thank God, is Friday edition of the Global Morning Show. And of course, we have a lot of activities lined up for you today. A lot of activities that will delight your viewing pleasure. And of course, you will enjoy every part of the show. Now, today we'll be looking at the newspaper review. We'll be moving up to talk about a lot of issues that are burning in Nigeria. Speaking of the MKO, the IBB's autobiography launched yesterday. Speaking about the fuel tank, the tankers, 60,000 liters of fuel decision that was reached, also looking at all of this conversation and the big drama, which is what happened in the Senate and some of the resolution reached by the National Assembly. We'll be looking all of that and more. But then let's begin the day to talk about the first and most pertinent issue right now, even on this morning. But before I do that, we'll just be looking at those conversations even right here, right now. Well, first of all, looking at the Nigerian Senate and some of the dramas that have played out the course of yesterday. Now, it was really interesting. It was an interesting conversation. First, the fact that we've seen the senator representing the Kogi State coming out to speak about some of the things that she felt were not right in that plenary. Now let's even look at it, where we said that tempers flared in the Senate on Thursday when the lawmaker representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Akpoti, was reassigned another seat. This adjustment of our seating arrangement is due to a vacuum created by the movement of Senator Ned Nwoko and Senator Francis Ezenwa from the PDP to the APC, enabling them to move seats to the ruling part of the divide in the chamber. The chief whip of the Senate, Tahil Mogunu, while citing Order 6 Rule 2 of the Senate rules, says it permits the Senate President to relocate seats to any lawmaker at his discretion. He further explained that Senator Natasha's refusal to relocate to the new seat assigned to her will leave the President of the Senate no other option than to exercise powers not to allow her contribute to any matter on the floor if she so remains on her previous seat. Her attempt to move a motion of citing a breach of her privileges was turned down by the Senate President, Godswill Obot Akpabio, instructing her to relocate to her new seat in order to be recognized. Now, let's even take a look at this video, and we'll come back to the conversation. Please stay with us. As after this video, we'll come back to the full conversation.
You are
My co-host and I have been watching that video, and of course we've been having a bit of conversation here in the studio. Juma, what do you think about this video?
You know, I just need to allow you to talk about this out there. It's a beautiful TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. And to talk about this particular clip, I got very emotional because, of course, we all know that Akpabio have been having issues with Natasha for a very long time. The statement he made and said, this is not a nightclub. She kept quiet. Nigerians, fellow women reacted and said, what is all of this? He's been antagonistic when it comes to women and all of that. So this particular issue is not something for you to react so much, you know that you are not weak. So I think I completely understand what is happening, but at the same time, you're doing the right thing, but at the wrong time for me. It doesn't really add up for me.
But the interesting part for me, Juma, was when other lawmakers were trying to pacify her, the persuasion, and she was still flaring up.
Yes.
Before she even sat, then she stood up again.
Yes.
To still, and it was a rowdy section.
But let me explain something to you, God. I hope you know that was not the issue at hand. What is actually playing out is what played out before then. Of course, like I mentioned, the Senate presidents have been having issues with Natasha for a very long time. That comment of this is not a nightclub, and other individuals that were there did not react to that statement. They all kept quiet. Some of them laughed or said something, but at the same time, you will listen to anyone when you did not protect me or say something the previously. This is just like a piling up of issues. It's just the ahead, which is true. Some Nigerians did the same thing when he said this is not a nightclub, when we all came out and said, why is it because she's a female, or is it because she's outspoken? Why would you make such a derogatory statement and say this? You have used any other thing as an example. Why would you say it's not a nightclub? What info do you have about her? Because there's always something in the middle of a statement. You have to, where have you seen her? Have you seen her in a nightclub? Do you know if she has another life? That has nothing to do with what she's there to do, as long as she does what she's there and who she represents. Accordingly and rightly. So for you to make up all these little, people might just say, people will come up and say, because she's so beautiful, you have an eye on her. Because hey, she's beautiful, you cannot take that away, and she is intelligent. So why would you want to suppress her in that kind of manner? So it's not all about what just took place, it's all about the things that you have been doing, not just now. I'm a woman, I'm saying that she won't have overreacted in that sort of manner, but you can't blame her at the same time. This particular Senate president has been picking on her and saying some things, and individuals who are Nigerians have come out to say, you have read the statement, you know what? A particular community, and you're coming out and you're telling me that this is not a nightclub. Are you kidding me right now? It's very painful to the ear. What are you trying to pass concerning my personality outside here? Do you have something on me? Tell me so we'll know.
Well, another angle to this story is the fact that I'm thinking that at this point, when senators meet in the country and they're supposed to do certain things, AYZ. In the plenary, and they don't do it. I think National Assembly Commission should begin to deduct their funds, because this is a total waste of taxpayers' money. Imagine how long it took the Nigerian senators to sit down and deliberate and have this conversation. It took them close to 130 minutes.
Yes, it did.
Because it was a rowdy section, so
Very rowdy.
turn off the microphones and all of that.
Yes.
Section, but so if they're supposed to meet for 3 hours and they are meeting and they are arguing like this, which is not relevant to the conversation at hand. For example, they're supposed to have a lot of deliberation from the what they call it, the suspension of the Benue State Senate, looking at constitutional
A lot of issues. A lot.
the whole plenary, because this issue is too minute, like you've rightly pointed out.
Yeah, it is.
It is not something to even, hey, Natasha, please move your seat to the
And like I mentioned before, God, I said this is a compilation of what has been happening. Of course, all of these while Godswill Akpabio has not.
But you don't have to apologize publicly.
Yeah, it did, but it's not. You see, that's the thing. That's the thing. Even if you. Have caused the trauma. You see, when you do something, it's big when you virtually embarrass an individual on national TV.
Representing a constituency.
Thank you. People are looking up to her. A lot of Kogites, because she's our mouthpiece when it comes to that particular area. A lot of people know that she's a strong woman. When you're looking up to her, there are little girls who want to be like Natasha. Really. And then when you demean her in that sort of manner, do you actually realize the implication involved in all of that?
Senate to walk her out of the chamber. That really fled out.
Yes, I said she would not be silent.
She's not moving anywhere. She's not going anywhere.
She will not be silent.
So, at that point I was trying to look for Leslie. She was citing the section, even while the chief whip was coming to her, she was still citing.
Yeah, she was. Even when her mic was being dimmed, she was still talking.
Her voice was loud. Of course, you could see pains, and
she's angry.
But okay, there's a way we should look at this.
In power or not. It's even worse when they're in power, because they just feel as if there's this competition there. Men have ego and you just feel as if you're intimidated when you see a strong men have ego and you just feel as if you're intimidated when you see a strong woman. Yes, it's understandable, but at the same time there's a way to issues, and there's sometimes you shouldn't. This is just, well, it's too minute for all of this, but I think from a woman I can understand. A lot of people can understand that, okay, he has been, picking on her way too many times. So this is what you get.
But my fear after this is you know the way Nigerians go with this conversation.
Of course.
Social media.
Oh, yes.
All the parts will now see support group, support for Natasha.
Exactly. You know how it goes,
Natasha.
Exactly.
Anti-Natasha.
Natasha. Exactly.
All of this conversation.
Of course, you know, they might just want to settle and everyone will come out, shake hands till we see that. Shake hands, okay, we're good, we're done. She apologized because she has to apologize because at that particular, for me, what she did there was really, really wrong. I feel, for me, I'm a woman, and I think once you're offended, just settle it and move on. This is how it is. This is politics. This is how it plays out. You win some, you lose. You have the Senate president. He wants to actually tone down your voice. He doesn't want you to speak out. He doesn't want you to have a voice in that house. So whatever it is, stand your guard. So that was, for me, that was what.
But that has played out repeatedly, even in the Senate. We've seen most time when Natasha wants to air a view, and sometimes she's been ruled out, and sometimes you see that have played.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. People around there will tell her people want to just silence you because you're outspoken, because you're the woman. You for goodness sake, in the house, it's your exactly. So people around there will tell her, don't allow anyone to suppress you. You all have the same rights. You're all senators, but you know all of these things we know. But at the same time, there's a way that you can pass your message in a very civil manner, very mature, and people will take you seriously and know that you're not arrogant. And that name in which people are trying to place on you, you're arrogant, you're rude, people won't see that. They see a different side of Senator Natasha, and they're like, oh my goodness, it's not actually what we thought, or what, you know, there's a way you can act.
Well, I don't know if you observed that video, because when she was angry, she was speaking out.
Her veil was coming off,
but the veil was coming up, but there was no facial expression. I don't know how she was managed to managed to maintain video that she was just expressing herself,
and she was composed.
She was trying to bring it back, and she was
wearing her glasses. How could you see?
Look at the glass on her face. Then look at the. There's no facial expression. I know when I'm angry, like, to this point.
You take off your glasses.
No, I won't take off my glasses. But you see the whole facial expression. Your face will be rough, and you want to just feel like she was still maintaining a particular composure, and there was no face.
That composure that you see is enough is enough. I won't take any BS in this house anymore. That's what you see.
Okay.
Enough is enough. I won't take any.
I really to maintain that rate of composure.
Well, it is what it is. That's a strong woman for you.
Wow. Wow, it's quite interesting. We need to learn that part of a strong woman.
Yeah, that's a strong woman. That's a very strong woman.
Of a strong woman, because that really is indeed a strong woman. To speak up without any form of facial. The only thing that happened what I observed was that the veil kept falling, and she kept picking it back and keep hanging it. But then I was looking at the veins on her neck. They were all hiding, and all of a sudden,
but her mouth was moving. She was saying something
consistently,
and her hands.
Maybe that was where
all the energy is there.
Energy moved to that other part. I didn't see that part.
Well, for the fact that, for me, this is just too minute to disrespect the Senate president. Yeah. Whatever it is, he's the leader in that house. You have to respect him. It's very important. So that, for me, I do not agree. Like I said, you can pass your message, but we all know where this is coming from. Like, for me, I know where this is coming from. That is my own personal opinion, not global television.
Yeah.
A lot of people have the same opinion as I have, that, oh my goodness, this is just the aggravation of what has been happening, and she just has to come out and voice it and tell him that, hey, I am not weak like you think, or I'm not quiet like you think. But at the same time, you have to give respect to whom respect is due. That is the Senate president. You have no right, and he has every right to tell you to move. So you would have moved. Don't address this. It would be without us even knowing what is going on. Because Nigerians, we have important things to think about. We are thinking, like, according to one of our colleagues, said, I'm a woman, and I love Senator Natasha so much. Not because she's from my state and everything, but I love her. She's outspoken. She's a woman that represents her constituency very well. But at the same comes to these issues at hand, people are watching you. People look up to you. It doesn't matter how angry you are. There's a way you can subdue that. Composure is very important. It speaks a lot. I don't have to say anything. Once I'm composed, you can actually read between the lines.
Once you compose, we can read in between the lines.
Exactly.
Well, we'll come back to that. Well, at this point, we'll go for a short break. And when we come back, we'll be going straight to the newspaper reviews. Please stay with us as Global Morning continues in a moment.
put you on the group yet. Have you seen that probation with Godwin? They don't ask me now. I say Godwin. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning on Global Television, and it's great to have you. At about this point is the newspaper review segment, and the first paper which we'll be delving into is the Blueprint newspaper. And above the nameplate, we have Damagu PDP seek Tinubu's intervention in Osun local government debate. And here below the nameplate is Senator Akpabio Natasha Tango at plenary over seat allocation. And you can find that read on page 14 of the Blueprint newspaper. And then beside that news, and that's the business news, says CBN retains interest rates at 27.5%. And that read is on page 29 of the Blueprint newspaper. And in sports, it says Lookman will quit Atalanta transfer expert. And you can find that read on page 12. And then the star story of the Blueprint newspaper says 32 years after IBB admits Abiola won G12 presidential election. That's the star story there. Go out and find out what that is all about. And here it says no record U.S. aid funded Boko Haram U.S. ambassador. And you can find that read on the Blueprint newspaper. Dangote, T.Y. Danjuma, B.U. Bois, others raised 17.5 billion naira for IBB presidential library. And one of the writers says he was the architect of private sector. And below all of that, we have Naira strengthens further as FX public policies boost markets confidence. And it says federal government terminates Ken Oye's bonus read contract. And it says hold Saturday Osun local government poll. AGF tells Adeleke. And that is all on the Blueprint newspaper. Please go out and get yourself a copy. And of course, Godwin will be running us through the next paper.
Yeah, the next paper is This Day newspaper. Above the nameplate, we have NUPRC, Nigerian winning war against illegal bunkering oil theft reduced to 50,000 BPD. That is, you can find a rider there also. He said, our hope rises as stolen crude falls from high to 108,000 BPD. Commission exceeds revenue target by 84%. You can go out there and get yourself a copy. That's above the nameplate there. Now, just above the nameplate again, we have world's richest man, Elon Musk, set to release smartest AI on Earth today. You can find that read on page 6 of the Day newspaper. Also, we have there below the nameplate, we have the court dismisses Christians and Shanghai Wigwe's application to appoint interim administrators / guidance in Albert Wigwe's estate. That despite we have another read here. It said, despite recent political differences, Tinubu celebrates ex-Kaduna Governor El Rufai at 65. You can find that read on page 34 of this Day newspaper. Now, that's the star story here. Says, amid mounting opposition, Matawali affirms not support for Tinubu with a rider that says cautions Babashir Lawal. Highlight killing of 8,000 terrorists, rescue of 8,000 kidnapped victims as key achievements. Arawa tank says region not divided against president. You can find that. That's the star story on this Day newspaper, and you can find that story and more on this Day newspaper. Now, let's even say the last story here. It says advocating gender equity, governance, inclusiveness. You can find that story also on this Day newspaper. You go out there and get yourself a copy of this Day newspaper and you find this and many more story on the paper. Juma will take us through to the next paper.
And the next paper is the Vanguard newspaper. And above the nameplate of the Vanguard says CBN demands hike in ATM withdrawal charges. No evidence U.S. aid funds Boko Haram. Of course, we saw that in previous papers before now. That's the U.S. ambassador. And it says court rejects Trump's request to reinstate birthright citizenship ban. And below that, the star story says, June 12, I fear that Abiola's assassination could lead to civil war. And that's in the voice of IBB. You know, when I watched this on TV, IBB came out and says Moshood Abiola won the June 12 presidential election. That's a big deal for someone to actually admit it at this time. And thank God for predecessor President Muhammadu Buhari, who came out and gave him that honor of an ex-president. That's something big. At least we all know the truth. I mean, it's all out there now. And for him to actually come out, because he was head of state at that time. And I know that was a very tough decision, like he said. But at the same time,
after 32 years.
After 32 years, but at least some people go to the grave and they don't actually come out and say the truth. At least he has freed himself. He shows the kind of man that he is, a very strong man. And a lot of people had a lot to say about him. Beautiful thing that I saw there. It shows that for him to come out after 32 years, it's like I mentioned, a lot of people were not even, but he came out and he actually said it. And of course, Muhammadu Buhari already did justice to all of that when he was in power. So
for me, Juma, I should think at this point, since the SDP won that election, so probably we should bring the SDP spokesperson, probably one of those days on the show to talk about the position of the party, even in this regard.
But it was just unfortunate. Of course, we know what happened to Moshood Abiola, that he died in detention. Of course, unfortunate. And he actually came out and said he was the president. I hope you were born at that time. When he came out and he declared himself, some people say, and you know that this life is, people just say, what you try to acquire so much, it doesn't mean anything once you get to that age of, you're closer to your creator. So you have to make sure you set the record straight and turn all the wrongs into right. I think that's what he's trying to do, to come out. And it's a big deal. That is a very powerful, actually came out, set the record straight. Hey, this is what it is. And Well, let's just move on from it.
All right. So, even when President Buhari declared that IBB
That honor, yeah.
So I was expecting at this point that most of our national publications will begin to put 1993 MKO Abiola's picture before putting that of Abacha,
Yeah.
moving that should not come before Abacha. Then the Abacha, then Fab Salami,
Exactly.
then down to Obasanjo,
Yes.
Adua, and the rest of them. But we've not seen that play out, probably because they could not literally pinpoint the days that he was in office or whatever. So we just leave it as a passive government. So we hope to see that reflect even as we begin to display those pictures everywhere in our catalogs.
Well, at the same time, like I said, he has that honor of a president in the country. But at the same, like I said, let's just move past it.
Let's move past it.
Let's move past it, really. All right, but let's won't move past it, but let's just move past it. And then still on the Vanguard newspaper, it says, Senate to federal government name a national monument after Ayo Adebanjo. And you can find that read on page 4. And now, Osun local government crisis may lead to violence if, and then that's the PDP governors are saying that Osun local government crisis may lead to violence. I think they should please get that under control. And Dale Peril slams Gasperini over Lukman comment. And of course, that's in the area of sports there. And basically, that is all on the Vanguard newspaper. Please go out and get yourself a read to get yourself more involved in the stories making round. And then the next paper, over to you, Godwin.
All right, so the next paper is the Punch newspaper. Let's get Punch this morning. Above the nameplate, we have ex-police chief faults FG 55 billion security contract for Turkish firm. You can find that read on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And also we have presidential panel gobs 21 billion in 7 years. You can find that read on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. Now, 13.7 trillion naira federation account revenue withheld by NNPCL, FAC as report. Now, whatever is happening in that sector, we need to, this is quite interesting. 13.7 trillion naira federation account revenue withheld by NNPCL. That's, you can find that read and get more on that story on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Now, also just by the side here, we have no automatic ticket for OT. LP insists. You can find that read on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. Okay, so the star story here says knocks as IBB regrets annulling MKO Abiola's victory in 1993. And we have a rider here that says Afenifere order says Babangida's comment belated. Well, that's quite interesting. You can find that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Not forgetting, just below the star story, have economists with one CBN as MPC retains 27.5 interest rate. You can find that story on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Now we have Naira rises, that's on business. You have Naira rises to 1,494.03 naira. So at official market, that's Naira has risen to 1,494. You can find that read on that business on the Punch. Now also we have a story here that says tension on Natasha, which Natasha tackles Senate President. Tension as Natasha tackles Senate President over seat relocation. You can find out on page 3 of the Punch newspaper. Also, we have a story here that says kidnapper Evans, now prison teacher, willing to forfeit 14 trucks.
Really?
All right, so you can find that.
Why are you laughing?
Well, it's okay.
Evans, oh my God.
Evans story, page 4, you can find that story. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper, you have AGF wants a delegate against LG polls. IG dismisses governor's allegations. That's in Osun State. You can find that on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. But for me, this caught my attention. It's still the Evans story. Outcome to prison teacher. That
Really?
it's
What is he teaching them?
It's
Kidnapping skills.
No, it's quite interesting because now I think the name change from prison to correctional facility is really working. Because since we moved past the era of saying you are a prisoner, you're going to a correctional facility. So most of them have been corrected. They've been taught. They've been. Most of them can be reincorporated into the society. So imagine Evans right now. A lot of them are actually schooling. Even we have National Open University.
Yes, I know.
Having prison centers. So I don't know what they did or what they were able to impact on him so far. But for Evans to start teaching in the prison, now we really need to commend the Nigerian prison.
Yes, we really need to. We really need to. For Evans become a prison teacher. But I'm just curious. What is he teaching? What field? I'm just curious.
So probably we need to check that out at the Punch.
Exactly.
It's an interesting read. We need to know which subject Evans can teach, and probably we need to also see if we can let me know.
like for me, the story that caught my eye cites the Evans story that is the star story that says, and others say Babangida's comments belated. That he would have done this like long time when he was in power.
I love the way you said that. Just said 32 years. It's quite long.
It's a long time, 3 decades
years.
plus. But at the same time, like democracy, it was very new. That was the period that a civilian president wanted to come into power, to become the president who were in power. And at the same time, you cannot allow, you know how it is with civilians, the military, really. Are you kidding me? So they have to suppress that voice with immediate effect. So at the same time, better late than never. We should still give credit to him. He came out. He's brave enough to come out and say, "I regret this."
We give that to him.
I personally give
coming out for a military general to come out to say.
I'm telling you, I'm not just a military general. This is someone that has made impact and records when he was in power. Of course, we saw what happened. A lot of things were not. It wasn't as, although you can't compare there now, but people were living well at that point. People were happy at that point. But at the same time, we should give kudos. It's better late than never, number one. And it takes a man who has integrity at this point to come out and say that. So if God can forgive, who are we? Let's overlook it and let's move on. I'm happy at the same time that he came out and he said it.
Yeah, so let's move to the next paper.
All right, the next paper on call is The Nation. And about be illegal, says Attorney General of the Federation, and you can get that read on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. No proof U.S. aid funds sustaining Boko Haram, says U.S. envoy. And here it says, remove trade tariff on Nigeria's import. Federal government urges China. Heaps of sand used to block access to Benue CJ's office. And you can find both read on page 10 and page 7 of The Nation. And the star story there, still talking about the same story, about IBB, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, and it says, Abiola won June 12, 1993 election. I regret its annulment. We hear you. And it says, pro-conciliation done by Abacha forces without my authorization. You see, there's a lot of things surrounding this particular issue. There's a lot of things surrounding it. So let's just see how it goes. Central Bank targets single-digit inflation in 3 years. MPC's retains interest, others rate. And basically that is it on the Nation newspaper. Please go out and get yourself well informed when it comes to the read. And for those of you that are very inquisitive on what is going on with the IBB story, please go out and get yourself informed.
Find that story on page 34 of the Nation's newspaper. FG asked Adeleke to halt Osun State election. You can find that story also on the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, the star story here says June 12th, I take responsibility, IBB. Now, that's what we've been having. That conversation has been very
Making rounds.
Yeah, it's making the rounds on all newspapers, all national dailies. I think it's a star story for, if not all the national.
It is. It's a big deal.
Yeah, so you could go out there and get yourself a copy. We have a story here on business, Daily Trust business in Nigeria. Naira appreciates to 1,505 naira. That is to $1 as CBN retains interest rate. Now, the figures now is confusing. We'll come back to that story. Now, we have a story here that says Akpabio Natasha clash again. I like the way the phrase Akpabio Natasha clash again.
What's going on?
Like wrestling, and when you watch wrestling those days, and you see, all right, so 2 jailed for stealing a lawyer's phone. I said 2 Nigerians jailed, 2 jailed for stealing lawyer's phone. Okay, the 2 Nigerians awarded 50,000 euro Commonwealth Peace Prize. Now, the story that caught my attention here is the story of first is the Naira appreciation. Now, we've seen before now, we said the Naira has appreciated by 1,400 and now we're seeing the Naira appreciated to 1,400. Now, the concern for
500, it's not stable.
It's not stable, and the interest rate, maintaining a particular interest rate, whether be double digit or single digit, I think there should be, if the economy is improving, it should reflect
exactly
even on the interest rate. Perhaps we could even drop the interest.
In my own eyes.
Then if it's even possible, we can get animated images of this particular.
Exactly.
Get it into
So we know that, okay, really, because the majority of population is the masses. We actually hold that torch. We are now beginning to have that, let me use the word, we now have sense. That key to put you in power. Unlike before that we just, we don't even know what's happening. Now people are becoming enlightened on what is happening. They now know that, okay, this is not right. I have my right going on in this particular way. If I follow it up, you explain to us what it means. So it's just figures and numbers that we see.
Yeah.
The impact is what we want.
Then, another story again is the issue around the 2 jailed for stealing lawyer's phone.
Like seriously.
I started laughing when I first read it earlier today.
You see, that's the hunger that I'm telling you about. You see, after these individuals, it's just very sad comment.
Those police were very nice to him.
They didn't slap him and tell him get out of my.
What they will tell you is, can you even recognize them?
Exactly.
Like that.
Exactly. Or run after them. Yeah.
So, some people have been even robbed at gunpoint. You see what that happened at the lynching that happened at
yes, exactly. The one chance victim.
I was like, how come all of this lynching is going and there's no...
Enough is enough. Some Nigerians have decided to take laws into their own hands because they feel that police, once you give... That's what they say, that sometimes when you go and you bribe them, you get away with these crimes. So they take laws, which is not right at all.
But there should be, you know why these things can keep thriving is because we don't have a response. Because if an incident of that magnitude is happening and... For that video was more than
we really need to.
Wide.
We have a lot to do when it comes to this country, but I know that let's just be positive. Everything is going to be fine.
I like the positive part of you. You're always optimistic.
I am, because I know Nigeria will be great again. Nigeria will be great again, and will be fine by the grace of God. And at this point, we have to wrap it up on the paper review segment of Global Morning. Stay tuned. Next is the AM News. Do not go anywhere. Global Morning continues shortly.
Social, economic, cultural, and political conditions are constantly in flux, requiring regular conversations on the many contexts and informed analysis of their dimensions. Now, these discussions are not just about understanding the present, but about shaping the future. Foremost Bayes University is taking this lead through the Bayes University Debates, hosted by Global Television.
Analyzing and debating issues big and small, Bayes University Debates presents a vibrant forum where we invite academics, intellectuals, and prominent personalities to share their diverse views and ideas on topical issues. Your unique perspective is a valuable addition to our rich intellectual community.
Engage in respectful, challenging debates where we try to find common ground, keep our minds open, and seek truth and understanding.
Don't miss the opportunity to join the conversation on Bayes University Debates at 9 p.m. every last Tuesday of the month. Showing on Global Television Channel 365. Start times Channel 276, free to air on Niconsat. You can also download the Global TV app on the App Store and Google Play Store. Be part of the action. How is my hair tied? How is it now? And they come over.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. Now, a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nicomsat. You can download the Global TV Nigerian app for Android and iOS device to keep track of our broadcast. Now, the news info. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Dr. Xavier Oyekere as chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission for a 5-year renewable term. Presidential spokesman Bayo Ononuga in a statement stated that until his appointment, Oyekere, an environmental specialist, was a deputy chief of staff to the Senate President. Tinubu also approved the appointment of 2 commissions, members from each of the 6 geopolitical zones. Nigerians' access to the $602.95 million grant for 2025 from the United States Agency for International Development is now uncertain, following a 90-day suspension of all agency programs by President Donald Trump. The fund stems from an executive order signed by President Trump after his return to office in January 2025, directing a comprehensive review of U.S. foreign assistance. The review aims to assess the effectiveness of American aid programs with a focus on eliminating waste and ensuring funds align with U.S. national interest. Tensions erupt in the Senate after Senator Natasha Akpoti-Ogange clashed with the leadership over a seating arrangement dispute. The issue began when Akpoti's seat was reassigned following a reshuffle prompt by opposition members moving to the majority wing. However, she refused to relocate. Chief Whip Senator Tahir Mongonu cited Senate rules to justify the change, explained that seat adjustments were within the Senate President's authority. Overnight United States Ambassador to Nigeria Richard Mills says there is no evidence that the United States Agency for International Development is funding Boko Haram or any terrorist group. Mills stated after meeting with the Nigerian Governors Forum in Abuja that no nation condemns Boko Haram's violence more strongly than the U.S. He assured that if any evidence is found, the U.S. government will work with the Nigerian government to investigate it. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, says Nigeria would not accommodate any form of disrespect from any country against its citizens, saying it is important for everyone to understand that Nigeria deserves respect. The CDS stated this at a defense headquarters in Abuja shortly after he received a wounded military personnel that had participated in Invictus Games in Canada, maintained that Nigerians is being threatened or treated unfairly by some countries. Kikelomo Okere completes the story.
The Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa dismissed the insinuation from some quarters that members of the armed forces were not invited to Vancouver, Canada, to participate in Invictus Game initiated by Duke Sex. Providing an insight into what transpired during the preparation, General Musa says they followed all due process, adding that concerned government officials, including ministers and national security advisor, were aware.
The denial of the visa. We mustn't travel abroad. Nigeria is good enough for all of us. We had an agreement. We were invited. A program was sent. We forwarded our requirements. We followed the process. Everybody knows members of the armed forces will never take shortcuts. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of State, the NSA, everybody is aware about this journey. And we followed the process. But for reasons best known to them, most of the teams, you remember, the team captain did not go. The medical doctor was not there, the physiotherapist did not go. All those that were important for the team were not given visas. And the question, there that whatever it takes to raise the morale of our troops, we will do it, whatever the cost is, because we know once the troops see what we are doing with those that are injured, they will want to give their best, because they know if anything happens to them, they will also be taken care of.
Speaking shortly after they were ushered in, the Director of Sport at Defence Headquarters laments over the visa denial by the Canada High Commission, saying out of 25 19 that was invited, only 14 were granted visas. He explained that the team were initially demoralized because the team captain, physiotherapists, and other important persons that were supposed to be part of the trip but were denied visas.
These soldiers re-strategized knowing their success was already diminished from teams and put up a great fight. Notwithstanding this setback, our team participated in over 6 events, which include wheelchair basketball, sitting volleyball, Nordic events, indoor rowing, and swimming. The team's outstanding performance earned Nigeria 1 gold medal, 1 silver medal, and 4 bronze medals.
The team leader expressed gratitude to the Chief of Defence Staff, saying the experience gives them opportunity to interact with other officers from other countries and to heal.
When we were privileged to get to the point where we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel was when you magnanimously brought the Invictus and this initiative to the wounded, injured, and sick personnel. So it was a magnanimous initiative that actually brought light at the end of the tunnel for all of us. So when all of us were introduced to the game as a means of recovery, little did we know that our disability will be overturned.
I said there is an ability in every disability, because you never can tell where your strength is. Being here today, sir, I would say we are very grateful.
That report, Benue State government has assured of its readiness to continue to collaborate with the media and remain accountable and transparent to the people in the discharge of its constitutional mandate. Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Toso Kula, gave the hint during an interface with members of the Nigerian Union of Journalists at the public presentation of breakdown of the 2025 state budget. Correspondent Felicity Indere was there for Global TV.
The formal presentation of the 2025 budget, tagged Budget of Human Capital Development, Food Security and Digital Economy, seeks to address challenges of human capital development and socio-economic welfare, agriculture, trade and investment, power, science and technology, digital economy and e-governance. The total budget of 550.1 billion naira has a capital expenditure of 357.6 billion naira, while recurrent expenditure stands at 192.5 billion naira. Director General of Benue State's Budget and Economic Planning Commission, Professor Jeremy Ndoho, says infrastructure takes 20%, while education and knowledge management, health and human services, agriculture and food security have 15% each.
If we look at roads, the roads are quite expensive. If you want to do a good road, a very good road, you should be looking at nothing less than 1 billion naira for 1 kilometer of road. So His Excellency is putting close to 110 of our monies into roads, which we are thinking, which we know that our underpasses that he has started, both the one in Makurdi here and the one in Boko, will also be completed within this road.
Chairman, Nigerian Union of Journalists, Benue State Council, Bemdo Ugbi, and the Commissioner for Information, Culture and Tourism, Matthew Abu, lauded the government's developmental strides and appealed to the members of the press to enlighten members of the public on government programs for the overall good of the state.
It is very, very important as an executive arm of government to present budgets for implementation of policies, priorities, and allocation of resources accordingly. The budget is a check on the executive branch by both the legislature and the fourth arm of government, which is the fourth estate of the realm, the media.
Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Teso Kula, while commending the members of the Fourth Estate of REM assured the people that the budget is all enclosed as its effect will be felt across all sectors of the economy.
Today you are here for no any other business but basically the business of budget breakdown. This is an event organized between the budget office and the AUG.
Federation accounts is said to generate 430.3 billion naira internally generated revenue to provide 35.5 billion naira, aid and grants 26.4 billion naira, and capital development fund receipts 57.7 billion naira. In Makurdi, Felicity Ndere, Global TV News.
Thank you, Felicity, for that report. Benue State House of Assembly says a statement credited to the Nigerian Bar Association and resolution of the Assembly over the removal of the state's chief judge is hasty and out of context. Majority Leader of the House, Sita Tasir, stated this in a media chat with journalists on the development at the Government House, Omakali. Correspondent Felicity Ndere reports.
Benue State House of Assembly had, through its resolutions, approved the removal of the Chief Judge of Benue, Justice Maurice Ikpambisi, on allegations bordering on corruption, misappropriation of funds, extra budgetary expenditure, among others. The development also has led to the response by the Nigerian Bar Association, which in a statement said the decision did not follow due process. Majority Leader Sate Tisi, in an interactive engagement with the media, insisted that the State Assembly acted in accordance with the Section 292 of the 1999 Nigerian Constitution as amended. Tisi said the association predicted its press statement on Sections 153 and 271 on discipline and removal of judicial officers and not based on the provision of Section 292 of the Constitution.
As far as we're concerned, the NBA were hasty because they were basing the argument on separate sections of the law outside the 292 that the Constitution had given us powers as members of the Assembly to act and recommend on the removal of the Chief Judge.
The Majority Leader described the actions of the 13 suspended members of the State Assembly as an afterthought, noting that the House prioritized the stability of the state and is in no way rubber stamp for the executive arm.
But the Constitution do not give the House of Assembly the responsibility of investigating. Remember, we did not originate any petition. If we originate, because of our powers of oversight, we can delve into asking certain questions to know what they were.
It remains to be seen what becomes the fate of the embattled Chief Judge of the state as events unfold. In Makurdi, Felicity Ndere, Global TV News.
The 36 states governor, under the endorsement of the Nigerian Governors Forum, have emphasized the need to deepen cooperation with the United States of America on economic development, governance, and health. In a statement issued after its meeting in Abuja, NGF Chairman and Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak reaffirmed their commitment to working with state legislatures to promote governance reforms and ensure effective policy implementation at the subnational level. The statement reveals that the forum engaged with the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, who shared his vision for a renewed and dynamic partnership between Nigeria and the United States, highlighting a shift from a donor-recipient model to one of mutual collaboration. He underscores the importance of fostering economic opportunities for Nigerians. The National Youth Service Corps in Benue State has confirmed the withdrawal of corps members from Mbas community in Wade local government area due to ongoing attacks. The Assistant Director of Information and Public Relations of NYSC in the state, Huhaza Adamu, stated that in a statement in Makurdi. Adamu says the withdrawal of corps members from Abbas community was as a result of incessant attacks on the community. The Ganjude Foundation has sponsored free eye treatment for 1,000 residents of Jigawa State. The exercise was held at the Sambo Hospital Dutse in Jigawa State. All beneficiaries were provided with medications and recommended eyeglasses, as some of them underwent eye surgery for a variety of eye diseases. Kikelomo Okere tells us more.
Governor of Jigawa State, Malam Omar Namadi, has commended the National Chairman of Progressive Congress, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, and his wife, Professor Afsat Umar Ganduje, for the gesture. Namadi says he was not surprised by how Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje is extending some of the human-centered projects he executed while he was the governor of Kano State to Jigawa State, saying Professor Afsat Umar Ganduje is of Jigawa origin. The APC national chairman emphasized the importance of sight, saying that was the main reason behind the exercise in the state. He added that the medical outreach is one of the services Ganduje Foundation provides to Nigerians. The beneficiary commended Ganduje's foundation for the outreach. They says they were glad that they were provided with a number of eye problem related services free of charge. The All Progressive Congress National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje attended the event in the company of his wife, Professor Afsat Umar Ganduje, his children and well-wishers. The outreach include surgery for a variety of eye diseases and provision of medication and recommended glasses to all beneficiaries. Kikelomo Okere, Global Television News.
The management of the Federal University Lokoja, Kogi State have closed down the university indefinitely following the continued protests by students in solidarity of the death of 5 of their colleagues killed by an articulated vehicle on Monday, 17 February 2025. This is contained in a circular issued by the Registrar, Secretary of Council of the University, Dr. Rebecca Amihu Okoje, and the State's Commissioner of Police and Director of DSS. The former Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly, Madashiru Obase, has refuted the report linking him to stockpiling guns at his office at the Assembly. This is as the current Speaker of the House, Mojishola Miranda, denied resigning from her position. Obase denied reports linking him to some firearms allegedly uncovered at his office. 2 Nigerians, James Wuye and Mohammed Ashafa, have been named winners of the inaugural Commonwealth Peace Prize. The co-founders of the Interfaith Mediation Center were recognized for their exceptional contributions to peace building and reconciliation in Nigeria. The Commonwealth Secretary General Patricia Scotland announced their win in a congratulatory letter addressed to the Deputy High Commissioner of Nigeria, Sani Suleiman. A twin explosion rocked 2 flow stations near the Cowthorne Channel off the coast of Bonny in Rivers State, raising fears of casualties. The blast reportedly destroyed several facilities at the flow station, located around 30 nautical miles from Bonny coastland. The Cowthorne Channel is a major hub for oil and gas facilities issued near the boundary between Bonny and Degama, local government areas in Rivers State. You're watching the live broadcast of AM News. When AM News returns, FCTA threatens demolition of illegal structures in Abuja community. We have those details from the world of business as well as more stories from foreign and sports segments for you. Please stay with us.
Can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world with our app on Google and Play Store. All you need to do is download Global TV Nigeria on your phone and watch all programs on Global Television. What are you waiting for? Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television. Social economic.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is AM News on Global Television. Thank you for staying tuned. On our business desk now, the federal government has announced a ban on trucks carrying over 60,000 liters of hydrocarbon products from loading at depot and traveling on federal roads, effect from March 1st, 2025. It also announced that from the fourth quarter of 2025, no truck carrying more than 45,000 liters of petroleum products shall be allowed to load from the depot. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority Executive Director, Distribution System Storage and Retailing Infrastructure, Obogo Ukoha, announced this at a briefing in Abuja. The Federal Capital Territory Administration, through its Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, has vowed to reclaim land illegally occupied at the Institution and Research District of Abuja. Director, Department of Development Council, Mukhtar Galadima, stated this during a stakeholders meeting with representatives of indigenous communities from Hidu Poye Peace Village in Abuja. Galadima explained that the department is committed to carrying out enforcement with a human face, hence, decision to invite indigenous stakeholders from the three communities to inform them about the proposed removal of structures erected illegally in the district. The number of dormant bank accounts in Nigeria is over 19.69 million, according to the Industry Customer Account Database released by the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System. The data, which tracks monthly account status throughout 2024, indicates a steady rise in inactive accounts, coinciding with new regulatory measures by the Central Bank of Nigeria requiring commercial banks to publish details of dormant accounts. The CBN direct issues to enhance transparency and return unclaimed funds to rightful owners comes amid concerns that a significant number of accounts have remained idle for extended periods. The federal government has revealed that it's moving most electricity consumers in Nigeria to Band A, where they will enjoy a minimum of 20 hours of electricity supply daily. The Transaction Company of Nigeria announced a major milestone in the nation's power sector, revealing that Nigeria has achieved a new peak power generation of 5,543.20 megawatts. The megastone was disclosed in a statement issued by the management. The Oyo State government sealed an industrial facility, Fountain Manufacturing Company Limited, located in Oluyele, Ibadan, over its repeated violations and non-compliance with environmental regulations. The State Commissioner for Environment and Natural Resources, Ademojude Mujibola, issued the directive following numerous complaints and petitions regarding the health hazard posed to residents living near the facility. Mobojubola stated that the ministry held for several years intervened in the matter to mediate amicably between residents and the facility's management. However, the facility owner had constantly failed to respond to or comply with the government's directive and state environmental laws. On our foreign scene, Hamas has handed over the bodies of Israel hostages for the first time as part of Gaza ceasefire deal. The body of 4 hostages have arrived at Abu Khaybar Forensic Institute in Jaffa, Tel Aviv, and Israel Health Ministry says forensic terms will complete the formal identification process as effectively and respectively as possible with utmost compassion towards the family, said spokesman Shira Solomon. And with that, we end the AM News. Let's take a quick look at our top stories again. Brought to you that Benue State House of Assembly says a statement credited to the Nigerian Bar Association on resolution of Assembly over the removal of the state's chief judge is hasty and out of context. In business, the Oyo State government sealed an industrial facility, Fountain Manufacturing Company Limited, located in Oluyele, Ibadan, over its repeated violations and non-compliance with environmental regulations. And on our foreign scene, a 38-year-old American woman has filed a lawsuit against fertility clinic after the wrong embryo was implanted in her, causing her to give birth to a child that was not biologically hers. And that's it on Global Television AM News. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276, and free to air on Nicomsat. Now kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. You can now download the Global TV Nigerian app for your Android and iOS device to keep track of our broadcasts. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world with our app on Google and Play Store. All you need to do is download Global TV Nigeria on your phone and watch all programs on Global Television. What are you waiting for? Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Social, economic, cultural, and political conditions are constantly in flux, requiring regular conversations on the many contexts and informed analysis of their dimensions. Now, these discussions are not just about understanding the present, but about shaping the future. Foremost Bayes University is taking this lead to the Bayes University Debates, hosted by Global Television.
Analyzing and debating issues big and small, Bayes University Debates presents a vibrant forum where we invite academics, intellectuals, and prominent personalities to share their diverse views and ideas on topical issues. Your unique perspective is a valuable addition to our rich intellectual community.
Engage in respectful, challenging debates where we try to find common ground. Keep our minds open and seek truth and understanding.
Don't miss the opportunity to join the conversation on Bayes University Debates at 9 p.m. every last Tuesday of the month. Showing on Global Television Channel 365. Start times Channel 276, free to air on Niconsat. You can also download the Global TV app on the App Store and Google Play Store. Be part of the action.
One poster for
Welcome back to Global Morning here on Global Television. The Nigerian Senate strongly condemned the Benue State House of Assembly removal of Chief Judge Justice Maurice Ikpambis. Well, the Senate also urged the National Judicial Council to resolve the matter amicably. The condemnation followed a point of order raised by Senator Abamoro, who described the removal as a breach of due process. Well, let's even take a look.
The motion is on the fact that the State House of Assembly
for more conversation.
Passed a resolution removing the state's chief judge in contravention of relevant sections of the Constitution and without the participation of the National Judicial Council. And Mr. President, a few members, like 14 of them out of the 32 members of the Benue State House of Assembly, abstained from participation on that illegality. And subsequently, they were suspended. And so, Mr. President, we feel that unless there is an urgent intervention, there is the possibility of a constitutional crisis, because this issue borders on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended.
And for even the information available to us here that the body that is constitutionally mandated to discipline judges has already condemned the action and issued a statement. What should concern us should now be the further action of the House of Assembly of Benue State, which tended to punish members who did not agree with the decision. This is a democracy. It's not everybody that must agree with the decision of the majority. The majority can have its way, but the minority should have its say, which is the suspension. So I think we should go into the prayers so that we can also urge the Speaker and the remaining members who may be in the majority to recall their colleagues that they said had been suspended as a result of this imbroglio. I think that will be a better way of handling it, while we now refer it to our committee.
All right, welcome back. Having listened to the Senate President talk about the suspension and also that of the removal of the Benue State Chief Judge, let's find out the position of the law. And joining me to talk about this issue all the way from Kaduna in Nigeria is Daniel Bulusin, who is a legal practitioner. Daniel, you're welcome to Global Morning. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning and welcome to Global Morning.
Good morning and thanks for having me. I don't know if you can hear me.
Good morning, Daniel. If you can hear me loud and clear, good morning and welcome to Global Morning.
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
So we're having a slight challenge getting Daniel to talk to us this morning. Daniel is a legal practitioner and we are talking about these issues as it borders on Nigeria. Good morning, Daniel, and welcome to Global Morning.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, Daniel, you've listened to the Senate President and you've seen what is transpiring in Benue State. But first, let us even know what's the position of the law in removing a chief judge.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
All right. So, Dan, what's the position of the law in removing a chief judge of a state?
Well, you see, the appointment of a judge by the provision of the Constitution is made by the governor on the recommendation of the NJC and then confirmed by the House of Rep or the State House of Assemblies or the National Assembly in the case of the federal. I don't know if I'm together with you, please. Hello?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, you can go ahead, Daniel. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So the appointment is made by the governor on the recommendation of the NJC and confirmed by the State House of Assembly, and where it has to do with federal, as the Supreme Court or the Federal High Court of Appeal by the National Assembly. Now we all know that so the independent arm of its own, the only body that has the right to remove a CGN is the NJC. And there's a reason why there's rule of law. There's rule of law so that it will stop arbitral misappropriation of powers by different armed. So this Benue State House of Assembly right now, what they are trying to do is an arbitral use of their powers, of their legislative powers. The removal of a judge in the instant case is not within their purview, is not within their powers. And anything to the contrary, anything they try to do is contrary to the provisions of the law. I don't know if we're together, sir.
Yes. So Daniel, let me even find out from you at this point. The House of Assembly of Benue State have asked the Chief Judge to vacate his office. Now, we've not seen the Chief Judge vacate his office, but as at yesterday, we've seen what is playing out in Benue State. And just yesterday also, so I beg your pardon, before yesterday, Benue State have asked the Chief Judge Assembly to vacate, the Assembly told the Chief Judge to vacate his office. And yesterday, we've seen the Nigerian National Senate, the Nigerian Senate saying they want to investigate this matter. You understand? And I've called for investigation by the Nigerian Judicial Commission. Now, looking at all of this, does this warrant an investigation at all? Or is the Senate overstepping its bound on matter that it ought not to even talk about in terms of investigation?
No, as regards the investigation now, it is because of the brouhaha that the House of Assembly is already causing to the nation. And the only people who can step in now, in my mind, is the National Assembly. Because the Benue State House of Assembly are refusing to allow the judiciary function independently. They do not have the powers to tell the Chief Judge to vacate his office. They do not have. The best they can do is to write a letter to the NJC, who now investigates and now comes up with a finding. So I think that what the National Assembly is trying to do is to step in because of the brouhaha that the Benue State House of Assembly is causing. I don't know if you're with me.
Yeah, but Daniel, to a very large extent, again, the judicial arm of Benue State are silent about this matter. Does this mean that they already accepted this? Because we've not seen the judiciary of Benue State coming out to even protest or talk about this matter. They are silent on this matter.
The Nigerian Bar Association, under the president of Mazi Afam Osigwe, senior advocate of Nigeria, had already come out to bring out a stern warning against such action. And all has joined. It is not correct. The judiciary is silent. Bar Association, who is the advocacy association of lawyers in Nigeria, has come out sternly to speak against this action by the Benue State of Assembly.
But that in a case where this particular incident is going on right now, and we've seen that the Benue State Chief Judge is locked out of his office, and there's no protest anywhere, there's no clamor, there's no court case, there's no agitation anywhere. Are you saying the NUJ have spoken? If the NUJ have spoken and there are no demonstration, does it amount to anything at this point?
No, you see, as the legal profession is a noble profession.
All right.
And there are things. Two wrongs don't make a right. And it is up to us as the judiciary to make sure that we play the bigger role in solving these issues. I've rated as 10 warning about the action of the Benue State House of Assembly. Right now, I don't think it will be proper for lawyers now to gather in front of the courtroom or of the governor's house to start raising placard, announcing. I don't know if you understand my point.
Yeah, I'm with you.
There are ways of getting these things done. And if the Benue State of House of Assembly are trying to use their powers to frustrate working his offices, if that is the situation right now on ground, I don't think you will expect lawyers to also go to the street and do the same. We have ways of doing things. And the number one way is for the NJC and the NBA to come out and speak on these issues, which they have been doing from the first day this incident started.
But you agree with me that the recognition by the NJC, some of the decisions have been reached by the NJC have not been adhered to even by the Benue State House of Assembly.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Some of the decisions being reached by the NJC have not been adhered to by the Benue State House of Assembly, and we've not seen compliance to a very large extent even from the Benue State House of Assembly. Is this not a situation where one tier of government is bigger than the other? Or one organ of government, I beg your pardon, is bigger than the other?
I will not comment on that. What I can comment on is that the judiciary has to be independent for rule of law to exist in this country. And we have to fight for the independence of the judiciary. If we allow the assembly to succeed in actions like this, then we are tantamount, then it means that the democracy is losing its values. And we cannot let that happen. So if you're saying that the organ is a little bit strong, it's because maybe of the parastatals and the way Nigeria works, but ordinarily the judiciary is independent. The judiciary is stronger or more powerful than the judiciary. That's why what is happening is happening. No, we are also strong. We are also a strong institution on our own. It's just that there are ways in which we can do things, and those are the ways we need to follow so that Nigerians can see us abiding by the law.
All right, interesting, Daniel. So let's even look at it, Barrister Daniel. At this point in time, the judiciary tends to be, like you've rightly said, trying to play the big brother role in order to mitigate the situation. But it has become a recurring phenomenon and a common decimal factor that most times when an issue of this magnitude happens, the judiciary tends to be a bit silent about this and play the big brother role, and it keep occurring and occurring. At this point in time, are we going to see a different action by the judiciary to ensure that it serves as a deterrent to other organ of government to be able to respect the judiciary? Are there practical demonstrations that can be instituted so that the other organ of government can learn that the judiciary is not one organ that can be told with?
Yes. The best way for that to happen is to not let this act by the Benue State House succeed. And I bet you it is not going to succeed, because the chief judge is the one in charge of that judicial arm in Benue State. Are you saying that the courts will stop sitting? So it's bigger than the theatre outside. Is the only thing the judiciary can do is to ensure that this act does not, whatever it is their theatrics are, whatever threats they are trying to do, we must make sure as a judiciary that this act does not succeed. It is where it succeeds that you now see other people or other organs and arms of government trying to do the same thing. But as long as this act by the Benue State House of Assembly does not succeed at the end of the day, then the judiciary has asserted its position as independent.
All right, so Barrister Dan, so you're saying in essence that the judiciary is not going to sue the probably the Nigerian Bar Association Delta Benue State chapter is not going to sue the National Assembly. there's not going to be a fight back. There's not going to be a pushback even from the judiciary. Is this what it means?
It depends on the outcome, not on the brief of the outcome. I don't know if you understand. And I believe that the NJC and the NBA are working closely at this point. They might not come out now, and say it. Maybe that's the reason why we're not aware. But you can. We are not silent on it. We are working. They only differ their own to the media. It ought to be, and only come to the media when it's necessary. So I believe that all hands are already on deck right now to ensure that this arbitrary act of exercise of power by the Benue State of
Well, Barrister Dan, you're having difficulty to getting you at this point.
But I can assure you that they're.
All right, Barrister Dan, I want to say thank you so much for being a part of the show this morning, although we are having difficulty trying to get you even right now. But thank you so much for being a part of the show this morning. All right, so we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to Chief Shitu MO, who will be talking to us about some of the happenings in the country, especially the conversations around the IBB book launch yesterday, which is still making the rounds. What is the position of the Afenifere that are saying already that the book launch and the open confession by the IBB is already belated 32 years after the annulment of MKO's Abiola's election? And what are the premises that even surround the book launch? What are some of the contents of the book? We will be looking at all of this conversation in a moment. Please go nowhere as Global Morning continues in a moment.
Welcome back. Now let's delve into the second issue for the day, where probably for the first ex-military head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, has revealed that the late Chief MKO Abiola won the June 12, 1993 presidential election. Babangida took to his autobiography, Journey in Service, which was officially launched in Abuja on Thursday. To Tibanjo, who reviewed the book, noted that Abiola, who ran under the Social Democratic Party, not only secured the majority of votes but also met the geographical requirement needed to become president. Babangida, in his autobiography, also admitted that annulling the election was one of the most difficult decisions of his life. Babangida also noted in his book that he was pleased when former President Muhammadu Buhari posthumous honored Abiola with a title of Grand Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a rank reserved for president. Now we can go on and on this conversation, but first let me first and foremost welcome Chief M.O. Shitu, a political activist who will be doing justice to this conversation with us. Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
All right,
so Nigerians.
Good morning, Chief Shitu. You've listened to this conversation even from yesterday. It is making the rounds everywhere. First, let's take it to the regional angle. What the reception so far by the Yoruba people tend to be a very not a welcoming kind of reception. They didn't have this, find it funny at all.
Looking at what's up to date, that we had a very free, fair and credible election. And at the end of the whole exercise, that election was cancelled and the winner was not announced. And for 25 or 35 years after, 32 years after, and he's coming to tell Nigerians he's sorry, he regrets whatever actions. You see, our leaders are taking us for granted. They are taking us too much for granted in this country. And when you look at the election that brought Abiola then, that he won, that was 93. That election came with so many challenges. That is part of the challenges that it came to it. Now, when you now look what happened 2 years ago, where are we today? Where are we today? Is still the same people who have been in the system who have held this country hostage. They are still the one in position of authority as of today as we speak. But now, if we are now telling the youths, the upcoming children that they are the youths of tomorrow, they are the leaders of tomorrow, they are the future of this country. Do you see that as a reality in Nigeria? Where people who lost 40, 50 years ago are still in government as we speak.
All right, so Chief Shitu, let's look at this whole conversation. First, the boldness for Babangida to come out, IBB to come out to say, hey, I was wrong. And I think this deserves some form of accolade, if you ask me.
For somebody slapping you and coming back to tell you it was a mistake, he's sorry. So what accolade are you giving to such a person? Why slapping you on the first instance?
For a military general to come out to apologize.
You understand, a military general, Nigeria first. Do you understand? The loyalty of any individual, no matter your position, your loyalty must be to your country. Not to a personal decision, not to certain cabals, not to certain high-ranking individuals who will come and tell you this is what you want. The first thing that must be at the topmost mind of any individual should be his loyalty to his country. So my loyalty to Nigeria should be first, or loyalty to Nigeria should be first. In the same country, in a developed country, in a developing country, IBB will not come out and say this will be arrested. You understand? Because he could be charged for criminal offenses. When you look at the legal implication of this, because that, do you know the number of people that lost their life? A lot of people flee from the north because it was like throwing Nigeria into a serious crisis. Then
a civil war.
Yeah, into a civil war then. So those who lost their life then, up to tomorrow, the relatives, the associates of those people are still not seeing that sudden shock. And then, you understand, and you want to, because of certain interests of few individuals who might not even be up to 50, kill the country into civil war, kill the country into arrest, and 32 years after you are coming to tell us you regret. And you cannot imagine, look at the amount of money that was raised there yesterday. What for? When there are thousands of Nigerians on the street who could not afford to feed, thousands of Nigerian students who could not afford to pay their tuition fee, thousands of Nigerians in the hospital who could not afford to pay their medical bill, and billions of naira that will take care and say they will give you 2 billion per year. Another person said, I'm giving you 5 billion naira. Why not channel this money into our education system, into our health system? Well, it will serve a lot of Nigerians. We have a lot of elementaries all over the north. These are aspects we expect people like Dangote and others to come up and address and spend their resources on. Not on an individual who is already approaching the grave.
That's quite interesting.
You understand? So it's a lot of things is still very, very wrong in this country. A lot of things, the system is not working. Nigeria is good as a dead country. Reaching for area.
Allegedly dead country.
Yes, I'm saying it.
Let's use the word alleged. All right. But looking at the content of the book itself, former military president General Muhammad, former Ibrahim Babangida IBB, denied involvement in the death of a veteran journalist and editor-in-chief of News Watch, Dele Giwa. Now, of course, Dele Giwa during then was very eloquent speaker, and he was critic. Yeah, and we saw all of this played out. But then let me bring that to you as the confession. But looking at the Dele Giwa saga and the book launch in itself, can we take away Dele Giwa's death from IBB as it stands right now, even though he has exonerated himself as not being responsible for Dele Giwa's death?
You see, a lot of people, including myself, there is an adage in Yoruba that says, you understand what that means?
Please.
When they give a madman to whom, he has to make sure his own vein do not his leg. You understand? He cannot twist the road the other's way. So you should expect Babangida to come up and defend himself. As at that time, he was the commander-in-chief, armed forces of Nigeria. So there is no explanation. There is no explanation for his default over the date of Dele Giwa, for him telling us he knows nothing about. Somebody who happens to be a sitting president is live, is the chief security officer for the country. So whatever happens to any single individual is answerable to it, because these are part of the oath of office he took. So if today is coming to tell us that he knows nothing about it, I for one disagree with that. It was the first time in the history of Nigeria that we be exposed to letter bomb idea of killing or murdering an individual. It was a letter bomb. Where was that letter coming from? We have DSS, we have the Nigerian police, we have the Nigerian army, we have a lot of intelligence agencies. So they couldn't even gather the information. So it means any other person as of today can equally pass through that process and go and fight. You understand? So for somebody, the truth is that our leaders should stop taking us for granted. We are not fools. We are only being patient because we want peace in Nigeria, not because we don't know what is happening, we don't know what is right. We know what is right. Most leaders who have to be out there for their selfish interest, for their individual interests, they are saved by their immediate family and their girlfriends outside, whatever. That's all.
Well, Chief Shitu, a lot of people have come out to say that Afenifere were wrong to say that, to welcome this whole open confession with a lot of backlash, with a lot of rejection, saying that it is belated. A lot of people say that Afenifere were wrong. For a man of...
frankly speaking, you see, each individual, each societies, associations are entitled to their personal opinion. That is a personal opinion of the Afenifere. So any other person is under the umbrella. So for Babangida coming up today, easy, and next military officer, one time president of this country that threw us into crisis, he introduced Nigeria into the modern day corruption we are in, and we are still swimming in that corruption up to date. We all knew how the system was working in 1983 before Babangida came on board. We have the wall against indiscipline. No matter how brave, you can't be brave and stand outside your own house. Your own house you built with your own personal income, and say you want to pay. Because there was discipline to a large, at least to a reasonable extent. So what happened when IBB took over? All those disciplines and conduct and all that was thrown into dustbin.
It was structural adjustment program.
We help.
was introduced to better the lot of Nigeria.
And so tell me those Nigerians that their life became better.
But you saw the author, Zebra, what's his name? He was here yesterday, and most of them showed solidarity. And they thanked the former president of Nigeria, the former head of state of Nigeria, saying that it is because of his benevolence that
you understand. Let's be sincere with ourselves. I, for one, personally, have a personal interest, a personal likeness why we be, because of this level of his intelligence.
But even they flew in to celebrate with the IBB and all of those, and you've mentioned that those funds should have been used to better the lot of Nigeria in terms of education, technology, and what have you. But some of those funds will be reinjected into the Nigerian economy and also to better the lot of the less privileged, because some of the orphanage will benefit from this particular fund. So don't you think that this is also going to be, because most Nigerians will share in this optimism that the money should have been injected into Nigeria, but in one way or the other it will be reinjected back to the Nigerian economy. Don't you think so?
I love the opinion and I will not work. And if I believe tomorrow decide to say, okay, I'm giving 10 billion naira to Nigerian government, it's just like garbage in, garbage out. It will not serve the interest of the masses.
What do you mean garbage in, garbage out?
Now tell me the subsidy is gone. What is the effect of the subsidy on a common Nigerian, on a common citizen? That we are buying a cup of rice at 3,000 or 4,000 naira, that we are buying liter of fuel at 1,000 naira. You understand? So the only way you see the impact of this thing is when the standard of living of a common man on the street gets better. If tomorrow IBB decide to say, okay, is channeling this money into the resources or into the pocket of the federal government of Nigeria, there are certain individuals who are already waiting for that money to come for their personal use, to divert it to their personal use. Just little 5 or 10% will be given out. And come out online and say they have spent all that money on this, on that. Nigeria, we are far behind. We are 1,000 years behind. Because you see, when you look at Nigeria, the dynamics of our system of government is this. 50 years ago, Nigeria campaigns talked of constructing road, talk of electricity, talk of building hospital. Today, 2027, this is going to be the business of campaign again. So why are we not moving? That somebody will come 20 years ago and campaign that wants to construct more routes. Cost of the flight. So that's why they are putting their life at risk. 99.9% risk traveling. Just 2-3 days ago, here in Lokoja, a bus coming to Lagos was attacked. Just 2 minutes drive away to a police checking point, a military checking point. Drive away to a police checking point, a military checking point. So you ask, you understand, as a citizen, you want to believe you are at a checking point. You also believe the next 10-20 kilometers you are safe. Just 2 minutes drive away, which I'm sure that will not be up to more than 1 kilo or 2 kilo. Bandits are somewhere firing live ammunition onto the cars going. Few Nigerians lost their life. What has the government done to that? And when you look at areas where you see this police or any Nigerian security agencies, road safety, they take full advantage of where there are potholes. Because they know definitely you are drivers to apply brake. And they are telling you have roads.
So invariably you're even saying that what NKO campaigned 32 years ago is what we still campaign right now.
Right now.
There will be no significant improvement.
At all.
Chief Shitty just decided not to see the improvements that have been made so far.
Look, when you say improvement, you want to see new things, you want to see new innovations. Not repeating this like a student. You understand? You want to tell me that student is progressing? That those things that Abiola campaigned for, I wrote an article and it was published in Concord newspaper then on this Hope 93, on the Hope 93 election then. Part of those things we campaign, part of those things we use as campaign slogans, as promises, Nigerians are still liking those things. And when you look at this thing, the IBB you're talking of, Baba Obasanjo, Abdisalam Abubakar, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they all enjoy free education. If this country can give them that privilege, that opportunity, I like to introduce modern technology digitalization into our voting system. You understand? Has that helped? Has that helped? That is the question we should ask ourselves. Does it work? I'm putting it on record. Let it be on record. In some few years to come as well. Yakubu was his name, this silent man. Please remind me of his name.
Let's just leave it at Yakubu.
Oh my God. We will come out and say he's tendering apologies for Nigeria over what happened at the 2023 presidential election. Nigerians came out in their large numbers, cast their votes, monitor their votes, only for them to get to collation center and the magic king started working again. And you want to tell me this, we are improving, we are moving. Where are we moving? For somebody to come and use big grammar to defraud Nigerians that it was computer glitch. As if we are going to Rwanda to buy cliche.
But the process has moved. We've moved.
It has not moved. It will only move.
Has improved.
It will only be. We saw how the election went.
And you try to use Ghana to compare Nigeria.
Why?
Dr. Shitu, because to a very large extent, when we look at the population of Ghana, it's not compared to that of Nigeria. Somebody will even say liking Ghana to be like use Lagos to compare Ghana. So you can't measure that. The comparison is not there.
No.
We can't use Ghana to compare Nigeria.
You see, when the system, it is not the size that matters. You understand? It's not the size that matters, but the value.
Well, let's go. Even talk. Speaking of value, we saw election in Osun State, and we saw the value. That's a miracle.
What was the value?
The value of Osun State election was free, fair, and credible. As was free, fair, and except you have a contrary opinion.
There have never been any election in Nigeria after the 1993 election. You understand that Ebola won. There have never been any election that has been free, fair, and credible. Let's be sincere with ourselves. That's the blatant truth. Election where Nigerian coppers lost their lives. Now a parent who struggled to survive, struggled to train his own child up to the level of graduate, up to the level of the child being serving this country. And really for the
mention of the fact that the other countries across the world, person like IBB, who is a legend in Nigeria, would have been picked up by security agents. But one looking at the premises that surround that particular election, the annulments tend to be one of the most fine-tuned decisions to have taken as at that time, in order to ensure that, to guarantee the unity of Nigeria. Takeover would have still happened. That would have brought in another military dictator at that point. So Nigerians will say that the annulment was the best thing that happened to Nigeria at that point, in order to preserve the unity of Nigerian at that point in time. Do you share in this optimism?
No. My answer is capital no. You see, when you look at the circumstances, you not come out and tell Nigerians that few individuals, IBB should name those individuals, they are not up to 50 because of their own personal decision, so that the decision now supersede that of millions of Nigerians. And that what happened, the annulment of that election was the best thing that could happen to Nigeria. Then it means Babangida as at then was not even fit to be on the seat as the president or as the head of state, as the military head of state of this country. A military head of state, one stupid, bloody civilian somewhere will threaten you. Amomo don't do now. Amomo don't do. So all those things are just the first. I was expecting at most about to be one of the guest speakers in that place yesterday. Babangida has only produced that book as a defense for his integrity. You understand? To protect and to defend his name, because he knows he's approaching the grave. You understand? So he's only whatever you say in that book is a defense, to defend his personal self, not for Nigeria. Not defending Nigeria.
But collectively to form Nigerian history about what is
already is part of history. But we held an incredible election
but this is putting the record straight. He has put the record is straight. Historically, he will judge fairly. Yeah, he will judge fairly because of the fact that if you feel that you what you heard, and this is what he was able to do in that regard, which I think for one he has been able to exemplify those qualities by documenting it down to put the record straight.
And it's not above the law.
How many IBB contemporaries are alive?
There are plenty.
Most of his contemporaries are already going to meet their ancestors.
Most, you said, not all.
Okay.
So most.
To try a man at his 80s and
well, you see, one, it could be a national pardon, or we will just believe. You understand? Trying to refresh our injured will that has aged, or trying to come and refreshing it again.
So you say the timing of the launching of the book is not right?
No. There is nothing to celebrate about that book. There is absolutely nothing. It was a book. That book contains stories that sent people to their early grave. That sent Abiola himself to an early grave. It was in that story that Abiola lost his life. So what do you want to tell the children, the biological children of Abiola, that book that they lost now, that will now remove that pain in their heart, that they lost their dad, to be in a position of authority to Nigerian government. He was under detention when he died, and it was speculated that he was poisoned. So now, you understand, a person kill my papa, you can't tell me, say, you did not one book. So with that the reflection in my heart, the emotional effect.
But the alleged killer of the father, alleged.
Okay. It was a gradual process, and that gradual process starts from the election. You understand? It was immediately after the election, and the election was annoyed, and it was from that level of annoyment that the whole thing started. They have to sit on the round table. How do we silence this man? How do we silence the Southwest? How do we silence the Nadekus? You understand? So all this calculation started. A lot of people flee Nigeria, including the present sitting president Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They all ran out of this country for their dear life. We are stayed behind them. We lose. You understand? But you see Nigeria, the truth is they run the system in a paddy with my party, we are one, we are cabals, we belong to the same setup. Not the amount of this will hold National Executive Council meeting to get that. I will agree with you.
It's not all bitter pill now.
I will agree with you only if the system is allowed to work. Only if Nigerians will come out, cast their vote, go to the polling district, cast their vote, and their vote counts. And the leaders are held accountable.
But aside
then I will know that there are certain lessons there that possibly Nigerians we have learned certain lessons from the book.
You know quite all right that Abiola came up with the mantra of Hope 93.
Yeah.
And currently President Bola Tinubu is talking about renewed hope agenda. And of course, for many Nigerians we see that our hope has been renewed, which means he's automatically running the Abiola mandate.
No, that was not Abiola's mandate. Please don't insult the
legacy of
yes, please, it's not. Now the hope that we're buying fuel for that the renewal.
If the hope is not dashed yet, it's to renew the hope.
2 years down, 2 years gone. Let's be serious. The earlier we start realizing a lot of things are wrong, then the better for us.
But aside looking at the fuel price increase, we've seen other developmental strides even from this particular administration.
Like what? I'll tell you that. Except the Emilocons.
What's the Emilocons?
It's the slogans. Those
Emilocon.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
You understand? Nobody will just tells you that this is the legacy of MQ. How? That Nigerians are being thrown into abject poverty. I'm sure you must have seen now. You see even on the road, you see a lot of cars going, and in the next few seconds, the car is off. What do your motor that petrol finish? Big man motor. You understand? So we are not getting things at ease at all. Things are not as easy at all. So we have to start realizing all this fact. By the time we start praising government for all these things, we are only deceiving ourselves. Quite agree with you that the immigration are doing a great job by their innovation and that advanced technology, yes, kudos to them. Wike is equally trying in Tanti, the road networking Wike is trying is really doing good, and I'm proud to say that. You understand? But if we're talking of the FCT, how about other Nigerians? How about the other 36 states that we have across? Katsina, Sokoto, Zamfara. There are some few local governments in those areas that they don't go to bed at night because of bandit. And you want to tell those people there that the system is working. Who lost their relatives, lost their farm, lost their cows and other things to bandits. But Nigerian government knows how to track CK, Showore and some other activists like that or critics of the government. But they cannot track Bello Turji. The same device that they use in tracking those people could be used to track and get Turji arrested. So these are aspects we should look at.
Well, before I let you go at this point in time, Chief Shittu, are you now saying that there's no light at the end of the tunnel?
There is. But as it stands now, the possibility is 50-50. The possibility is 50-50. There will be light at the end of the tunnel if the system is allowed to work effectively, efficiently. And there will be light.
All right, we'll take that chance of 50-50 at this point in time. I just want to say thank you so much, Chief Shittu, for being a part of the show this morning.
It's good to have you. It's good to be with you. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, Global Morning continues in a moment. Please stay with us.
Can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world with our app on Google and Play Store. All you need to do is download Global TV Nigeria on your phone and watch all programs on Global Television. What are you waiting for? Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Social, economic, cultural, and political conditions are constantly in flux, requiring regular conversations on the many contexts and informed analysis of their dimensions. Now, these discussions are not just about understanding the present, but about shaping the future. Foremost Bayes University is taking this lead through the Bayes University Debates, hosted by Global Television.
Analyzing and debating issues big and small, Bayes University Debates presents a vibrant forum where we invite academics, intellectuals, and prominent personalities to share their diverse views and ideas on topical issues. Your unique perspective is a valuable addition to our rich intellectual community.
Engage in respect and seek truth and understanding.
Don't miss the opportunity to join the conversation on Bayes University Debates at 9 p.m. every last Tuesday of the month, showing on Global Television Channel 365, Star Times Channel 276, free to air on Nicomsat. You can also download the Global TV app on the App Store and Google Play Store.
Welcome back. Now, that was Chief Shitu, and we've been looking at the MK Abiola's issue and that of the IBB's book launch. But so far, so good. Let me even turn this conversation back to my colleague, Ms. Manson. Let's even look at this issue again. MK Abiola, you've seen Chief Shitu has been able to enlighten us in a lot of things.
Yeah, he has.
So this was a bitter pill that is being served to Nigeria. The timing for it is not too right.
Yes, it's not palatable.
It reminds us, takes us back to 32 years and bring back sad memories for a lot of us.
And also to the family, don't forget.
That's what he mentioned. He mentioned the fammy.
Yes,
I don't even want the families to even handle the situation.
Yes. Well, we already knew the truth. Like I said, it's you said something very grave. You said better late than never. And this has admitted that, okay, he was the president of Nigeria at that point, 1993. But because of some circumstances surrounding it, the image was able to wiggle around it and downplay it. And of course, it led to his death because he was in detention, all of that. It is a very bitter pill to swallow. But for a man coming out and trying to make that wrong right now, we shouldn't crucify him completely, please.
We're looking at it from another angle. We're thinking of saying, okay, if there were people that were involved in the annulment, because taking that decision comes from the Supreme Military Council.
Yes, it does.
As at that point.
You mentioned, he said it was General Sani Abacha.
So if it's Sani Abacha but Sani Abacha did not unilaterally make that decision.
On his own.
So it's a council that met this sat and took that decision. One thing about that we've come to realize is when it comes to mentioning names, we tend to shy away from that particular conversation across the country. You hear things, it's really sad. One would expect at this point in time that the security the president should be declaring a national pardon on most of the names that will be mentioned or that have been mentioned in that book. And once they read the book, they get clarity. They know which names were mentioned, and will not see a follow-up conversation where the president gave a national pardon. I think that's the right way to go about all of this.
You know, the difference between Nigeria or African countries and international countries is very glaring. You see, in somewhere like in the USA, if you commit a crime, years ago and they find you guilty today, you will serve that punishment. You go to jail. You have to go back and wipe the slate clean. You pay for your time. It doesn't matter how long this crime was committed. Real cases that happened 20. When you mentioned a face with particular issue that happens, we have a long way to go when it comes to that sort of issue. Corruption we have a long way to go. I don't think we're ready for that conversation yet. That's why when you mention like EFCC, when there is quote and unquote, now we hear that we hear lots of issues. I just don't want to digress, but the truth is we have a long way to go when it comes to and that is, in fact, that case is gone.
When the panel is based on that particular
that case is gone. And it's true. If you look at it,
I don't really believe that is true.
But if you look at it, you go and make your findings and see. For every case in Nigeria that there's always a panel or committee, you don't hear about it again. I don't want to mention it, like I said, I don't want to digress. But at the same time, it's coming at a very wrong time, like he mentioned, which is true. But at least you said something very vital. You said better late than never. Like for IBB, he came out, and you know the kind of person IBB, if you've read about IBB, he's a very strong-willed general. He's very strong-willed, he's very powerful. But for him to come to that level and admit it, because the upbringing is, even if a senior officer is wrong and he has offended you, that is a junior officer, the junior officer will definitely pay for whatever it is. He will be the one that will come. He must never disrespect your superior, never ever. But we need to come down to what else do we want? Let's move past it and forgive and forget, they say, so we can move on.
Well, 3 weeks ago when I saw the announcement of the book publication, I felt it was it wasn't going to work because a lot of IBB coming out to write a book and wanted to do a book launch on his autobiography. I felt that at first until yesterday when I was actually it was strictly by invitation.
Yes, it was.
So yesterday at Transcorp, you see the who is who in Nigeria, the 1% of the 1% of the Nigerian. So